Hello and welcome to USS Summer 2026. We are back where it all started with some old faces and some new as well. That way, there we
That way,
go.
yeah. Hang on, wait. Is that but my camera's the wrong way around. No. Hello everyone. My first time here. It's very exciting. Um, yeah, ready for it's our first games of USS Overwatch. Am I correct?
Yes, this is our
Yes, it's
first
week
games
one,
of summer. So looking
and
forward to getting into it. And I mean, we've been here before. The summer tournaments, obviously, if you guys aren't aware, we allow alumni in as well. So you're going to see some old faces coming through as well. I've seen at least one of the Warwick teams coming back with some flashbacks that have reverted me to the past. But it has a lot of new rule sets as well. And if we go into the map pool, we should be seeing where we might be going today. You can see in the background the new map there that is in our hybrid pool alongside King's Row and Iconvols. Control, usually the first to go off the board. Lijiang and Ilios, two very popular ones. And Antarctic Peninsula in there as well after the reworks to be able to go to. But should be an interesting map pool to see where these two teams, Groglings and Hazelnotts, will be facing off against each other. And I really am so excited to get into our tournament.
yeah, I mean it's quite a interesting map pool. Not some of the more common maps. We're not seeing any Nepal or Busan, which I feel like we see a lot of in Control. Um, I think Antarctic is a really interesting map. I think, especially with the rework, you can see so much done from a various selection of comps that I don't know if we'll see much of, because I feel like if you're running dive, you'll just pick Ilios, and if you're running brawl or poke, you just pick Lijiang. But I think it'd be quite interesting to watch to see how some of our older teams play in these new maps when we haven't really seen them play these before.
Yeah, well, it's been a little while, especially with Neon Junction coming in and coming into our map pool immediately. The other thing that's come into our pool, not the map pool, but the hero pool, is Xion being enabled as well. She has got a little bit of a micro nerf down from the power that she had to start off with. A lot of players that really weren't sure how she was going to do at the start of her tenure as a hero, but as it's gone on, she's proved to be really, really powerful. Pros picking her up anywhere from Grandmaster down to the bronze lobbies have been seeing a lot of Xion, and for good reason as well.
Yeah, I feel like if you're not seeing Shion in your games, she's probably been banned because she's just got so much mobility. That bike, it means she can be basically wherever she wants on a quite short cooldown for what it provides, whilst doing damage at the end. And the big power is in that right click. Her execution, especially with that first perk, just does so much damage. It is, as its name is, it's an execution. You can just walk up to a backline and one shot them if you hit your shots. Um, so yeah, that kind of skill expression means that she is almost a must pick in a lot of these comps, where being able to take that angle and get out in a way that's kind of different to a tracer, where she can live a lot better but have the same level of impact of just deleting someone as quickly as she can, um, provides a lot of value that I'm hoping we get to see quite a bit of today.
I'm sure we will. And it is nice to see a character come in and have skill expression be one of the major things there. A lot of heroes that have come in recently, there's a lot of people that just get annoyed with how they end up. A lot of people down in the lower ranks really just despise that auto aim ability on Sierra. But it feels like Shion, well, maybe wasn't balanced to start off with, was definitely in the tier of you need to have some skill expression to play the character well, and I think that's a good start to have a basis on rather than just going, we want something broken in the game, we'll add it and then we'll tune it back from wherever it is.
Yeah, in that debate that you see a lot of, is this an honest character? I think you could call Shion not completely, but somewhat honest. Her kit is almost entirely a way of expressing your skill, and whether it be positioning or mechanics, it's not like Sierra, who hits you with a thing and then suddenly for 5 seconds every bullet just hits you. Or who came before Sierra? I mean, I would say the characters that came in
Everyone.
season 1,
we
all
had
5
we
of
had
them,
5 of them,
I
yeah.
I feel like all of them were kind of, none of them were extremely overtuned, which is kind of
Yeah.
what you normally expect Overwatch in their big updates. They love to drop someone who, you play or lose, um, and, they actually didn't for once. You could make the argument Jetpack Cat. Of course, Jetpack Cat Bastion has been bullying most competitive games and professional games for the past month and a half, but that's been toned back now, and we get a much more interesting new character watch.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have our first set of picks in. It's going to be Lijiang Tower, where we start off, and I mean, what a surprise, right? It's the first game of the tournament. We're heading to Lijiang Tower. I think no prizes for guessing that. Anyone who had bets on as to what the first map would have been, that's just all voided because we all know it was going to be there. As much as we talk about the different control maps and everything else in our pool, it is always going to end up on Lijiang Tower with control in there as our first pick. And we should be able to see the bans that have come through as well. A Tracer ban is interesting from Groglings, and then Zenyatta on the other side. And what are you thinking this hints to, Crab?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I understand a Tracer ban, of course. Tracer can be so dominant in maps, especially like Lijiang, where there's so many off angles you can take, especially on Garden and in Night Market. You can really get a lot out of Tracer, but I don't see where a Zen could get the kind of value that you'd be expecting out of, say, a Kiriko or a Mizuki now. That would make it worth a ban, especially when you've got that second ban. You kind of got a free choice. I, I would expect typically a ban on a tank. I think. I don't know. I think the Tracers is looking like what you've got a fragile backline. I guess you could say maybe you don't want to get dived, and that you're guessing a Zen pick's going to come out. But in this meta, I don't expect to see much Zen at all. Really.
Yeah, it seems strange to me. Obviously, tank's still fairly wide open. We have seen, at least at the highest levels, that Sigma Mitsuki composition has been starting to run over with the amount of CC that you can put onto someone. That chain into the rock is devastating to anyone, really, with the amount of damage that the rest of the team can follow up with as well. And it's very hard to get into the mix if you are playing something like that Diva. But we see these players coming in: Cody J, Solus, Sammy, Grog, and Blame Me on Groglings. And then on the side of Hazelnotts, Noobwake, Omens, Henji, Mono, and Fad Love Fadderly. Okay. We'll go for that for
We'll
now.
get. Yeah, that'll work.
Anything wrong, let me know, guys. But we start off here, and the other thing I will say for a Zenyatta pick is that it means that something that might be more favorable isn't taken out of your ban pool towards map 2 and map 3 if it goes that far. It is the first week of a tournament where you've got players that maybe could be coming in after a long time away as we head in. I
And it looks night
it feels
market.
like, yeah, you've just got to feel out your opponents. You haven't seen them play in perhaps a little while, especially with these alumni coming back in. So you don't know 100% what to expect. But as we look to be getting into Night Market, we should be seeing what these two teams want to start off with.
Oh, so we're seeing, I mean, quite a variety in comp. Not your more traditional comp. We've got not what you'd expect with a Malga running with 2 hit scans and a Mercy. Very unconventional, compared to what I would say is a bit more standard with that Zarya. You've got the Mizuki Kiri. You've got Cass. I'm wondering what the sim will swap to. Vendetta.
Okay, it's Zarya Vendetta. We're back to the start of the year, everyone. We're back to that composition, but here we go. The first salvos of USS Summer 2026 are being let off, and you can see Groglings just being very cautious to attempt to go over towards the objective now, being spotted by Henji on the Hazelnotts, just putting some damage in, and you can see the Mercy, not an obvious pick a lot of the time, but it's helping out at the moment as 2 go down early for the Groglings. Still trying to make the most out of this Zarya Ven composition. Yes, you take down the Mercy, but no one else falling. 1 HP on the Cassidy, and then falls. It's only going to be the Zarya who decides that just resetting with the team is a better situation.
Yeah, well, it seems with that Mauga comp, you know, I was talking about how they don't really work together as 2 separate roles, but because of the kind of position Mauga's in currently, you can almost work as like a double threat. You need to be able to somehow shut down a Mauga that just won't die, as well as keep an eye on 2 hit scans, absolutely beaming you down.
Mercy? Love just gotta be a little bit careful, but able to get away. Noobwake under the same story at the moment. You can see these rotations are nice from the Groglings. They're getting used to their environments back in it. Cody finding the first as well onto that Ashe. That's going to be a difficult match for Omens if that Vendetta can get in the long term. Doing a lot of damage, actually. Just about able to stay alive as Noobwake. Everything just slightly missing until now. Cody J finding 2 and really opening up this fight. They're playing all into this Vendetta, but it's absolutely worked out.
Yeah, this is kind of almost, I don't want to say solely, but it does feel solely dependent on this Vendetta. If this Vendetta can get in and get 1 without dying, she's got those stacks, she's got the block, she's got the armor. She should be able to keep running through this team, especially with quite limited movement, I would say. I know it doesn't look like it with a coach gun and a run, but once those are used, they're kind of stuck, and this Vendetta can just go to town.
Here comes that Sundering Blade over the top.
Oh
Finding 3 in that room as well. Nowhere to hide for those 3 players of Hazelnotts. There's just no escape at the moment. It's oppressive from Cody J.
Yeah, now the big decider here is that K-Rush. Mono has got their ult so quickly compared to Blame Me. If the fight keeps going on, we'll see it matched, but this is where your Mauga comp's really going to thrive, playing in that rush, being able to just run everyone down and not being able to die.
Haven't used the timing of it though, maybe really worried that it is up on the other side, but they've taken too long and now it is there, going down solo Cody J, but they're not able to deal with that real fixture in their backline. 1-for-1 trade immediately, but it's Mono down again, and that means this Kitsune Roach won't be used in the next fight. Looks like they don't need it as the DPS start to come alive. Solace able to get 1 off the high noon, but looks like that's going to be a compensation pick.
Yeah, and he's just going to back off. There's no reason to stay there. He'll just get himself caught. Yeah, well, it's looking like 5 ults, almost on both. Well, 4 ults for Hazelnotts. Oh, carry on. Mirror.
Kitsune Rush early from Groglings. It's going to be a little bit longer that stays around for Monos, but Kenji now investing the cage as well. It's getting up to that last fight territory, but it can't keep Kenji alive. Love, surely you're not going to try and go for that. Does not work out. And everyone falls once again for Hazelnotts. A valiant effort, but with 10% on the other side, they are fighting into hell. Solace taking down Bob on the objective, making sure that capture can come through. There's no way for Noobwake to the objective. A good start in our first match, but it's going to be the Groglings that pick up this first objective. We'll see where we go for second.
Oh yeah, that could have really gone either way. That was a last fight territory, and it was just, I think, the order things were invested in. That Grav was kind of held till the fight, till everything was burned, and that meant it got so much value because there was no answer for Hazelnotts. Especially with also the defensive ult of the Mizuki ult on Groglins, it kind of meant they could hold that space in the K-Rush, where I'd say Hazelnotts were kind of forced out of it and couldn't get as much value as they would have liked.
You say it helps them as well that they do have a more realistically supportive roster in terms of more organized play. Playing with that Mercy isn't seen a lot here, but it is Uni Overwatch. You play what you're comfortable with, and Cody really seems comfortable on that Vendetta. Going out again to start off with. It's going to be a Bastion for Omens instead. Going to be less susceptible to that dive. Blame Me just about able to get back around the corner, but decides to keep peeking and eventually finds a grenade of Omens. 1-for-1 trade out immediately. Solace not having that, making sure that there is a trade out, but Sammy going down is going to put pay to most of this. That Zarya not being able to pocket the Vendetta anymore, and he will try and keep Cody up for as long as possible. Mono just trying not to peek out as well, and it looks like the DPS are flipping this once again for the Groglings. They're able to do so much here, that chain as well, just stopping Henji in his tracks. No flip coming through, and even without the tank, Groglings able to get it done.
Yeah, that was just really good positioning. You saw the Cass kind of take an off angle and be able to kind of slowly walk through, taking his pickings of the various players on Hazelnotts.
Again, just some staging here from Henji, trying to do a little bit of damage, build up to that third perk.
And we see
into health as well.
I was going to say, we see the swap off from Junkrat, which, as annoying as Junkrat can be to play into, he's probably equally as annoying to play with, because you just see him not do much compared to, say, this soldier.
Yeah, Noob just caught out early, and Cody once again just ripping through this entire roster, scything them down one by one. Sammy says, I want some of that action as well, but Cody going in for the loss. Now with the help of the bubble, Omen's going to fall down as well. And another kill onto Noob, surely they're able to escape their spawn, but I mean, the damage is done.
Oh, first pause of the... First pause.
It wouldn't be one of our tournaments if there wasn't a pause at some point, but it looks more and more commanding as they grow into this game for the Groglings. And I feel like that Vendetta is not going to see the light of day on the second map if they are able to see it.
Yeah, I would say that second point, of course, looked so much more convincing. We're seeing a lot more out of the Vendetta, those closed spaces that you're kind of forced to walk through. You either walk bridge and run the risk of getting booped, though I don't think I saw any knockback necessarily on the Groglings team. I think your conventional route is you go white room, you walk through to point, especially on Amalga, and it's just a square you are locked inside of for Vendetta to just tear you to pieces.
Yeah, it's a bit of a meat grinder trying to get out of there at the moment. That sword is just doing way too much damage for them to be able to get through. And maybe the timing being slightly off as well. You saw Noob Walker in on that soldier, walking in a little bit too quickly ahead of the Malga and being cut off. You saw that Vendetta immediately, as soon as that soldier goes round the corner, says, yep, that is what I'm having. That is exactly what I want in that situation. And they are unfortunately playing into it a little bit too much, Hazelnotts, I think. There's some situations where you can play better into it. And I feel like they're playing with a set that they want to be grouped up. Sometimes you're seeing those players take it a little bit too quickly for the rest of the team.
Yeah, when you normally see a soldier, you kind of see them away with the fairies, kind of poking from a distance, being able to lay a kind of consistent hit scan pressure. But we're not really seeing that. You're letting the Vendetta get stacks.
Yeah, it's difficult to be able to play because obviously if you're on your own, you allow yourself to be taken down by that Vendetta. But once again, just walking up over the bridge, a little bit of chip damage for Sammy, and the artillery form is out, just serves to give some more charge to the Zarya. Immediate kill as well from Solace with that high noon. Trying to find a second now onto Noob as well in the dojo. Yes, you're able to get one back, but it's a cost of your own life. Solace going absolutely massive as this fight continues. The grab now just too much for them to deal with. Yes, Henji gets one with that overrun, but that looks like it's going to be it. And they still have a Kitsune Rush in the back pocket.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll even see a touch here. We got a soldier and a Bastion. Yeah, they just fall over instantly. And I think that is going to be map 1 over in a much more... That map 2, second map was a lot more convincing than the first. That second point even. I think there's quite a lot to take away from it though. If you're on Hazelnotts, you've definitely got a ban in mind. That's for sure.
If you don't have a ban in mind, I am wondering what you've been seeing this entire game. Because, I mean, You can have 2 in mind, right? The Vendetta does a lot, but also the Zarya serves to enable it, and Vendetta without the Zarya is a lot worse, in my opinion. Just the fact that you don't have the ability to get out anywhere near as much, you turn a lot squishier, and that is what a lot of the focus was when they were looking at Vendetta, is it felt like it was difficult to punish her. It's still difficult to punish her when you have a Zarya on her, but once it's taken away and the bubbles are taken out, it gets a bit more difficult, but I feel like it has to be one of those 2 that gets banned. And obviously that means for the 3rd and final map, if we get that far, that Groglings will be able to protect it, but at the end of the day, you need to get a map back on the board, and the only time that you're gonna be in control is now.
Yeah. I think you go for the Vendetta ban. Personally, you look at the first map, they banned the Tracer, which I think was more so a protect ban. They thought Tracers always can be a risk, but they want to be able to play that Ven. I think you would rather get rid of that because the possibilities you could run it with another tank. If you're playing something a bit more closed up, you play that Sigma and Mizuki. If someone gets chained, the Vendetta's still putting a lot of work in without having to overexert herself. Especially with this Mauga comp, despite being a Mauga comp, playing quite slow and taking their time and these slow rotates. Um, I think that means the Vendetta doesn't have to force everything every time. And I know it's good to, but she could take her time there. That Mauga, I didn't see them run onto anything necessarily. So yeah, I do think you ban the Vendetta, and I think in return, yeah, the Mauga could be banned. You could even see the Mercy banned. I don't know. You don't see a Mercy pick very often like this. I know Mercy isn't necessarily strong, but if that's forcing someone off their comfort hero, it could be just as effective as banning someone much more conventional.
Yeah, we didn't speak about it going in, but what you see in a lot of these tournaments, because they're not the highest levels ever, obviously we've had some players in the past go into at least the tier 2 system from here. I believe we've got J9 coming back for Warwick, a couple of other players as well that have surpassed us into those Face It tournaments, but it's not all the case, and the comfortability means a lot. Speaking of comfort, it's hybrid, we're on King's Row, nothing ever changes.
So-called free thinkers when King's Row is on the map choice. I I I was gonna say when Li Shang Tao was picked, there was a 50% chance they would have gone King's Row instead. But it's okay because we got both. We got that both done. This is a textbook example of I think any NSC game you've ever played ever. You go to Li Zhang and then you go to King's Row and then probably Suravasa for a third in a best of three, best of five even. But yeah, no surprise here.
And it's not just here in Uni Overwatch. I've seen so many things talking about how these 2 maps, and I mean the rest of them you have some that plague as well, but this really is consistently one of the biggest maps in the game in terms of being picked in those team environments and in ranked as well. Never gets too far past that pick phase. But speaking of picks, Zarya going to be taken away. So they're allowing the Vendetta through, but not too much of a surprise to see at least one of those 2 be taken out. Kiriko being banned on the other side, and with Baptiste, you know, being in a strange situation where you can play him, but consensus wise, he's not really in the best case scenario. And with the nature of King's Row, you can play into a bit more of a greedy backline composition, play that Iari if you want to, maybe go back to the Ana if you really want to, with the Kiriko taken away, is going to help. And we see Oliwaz as well come in for the Groglings as a sub, so we'll see what that has in store. But I like the Zarya ban. I'm surprised by the Kiri ban, but I don't hate that either. It forces your opposition into coming up with something else to try and beat.
Yeah, I think honestly the Kiri ban hurts more than the Zarya ban. I think yeah, maybe you might not be able to get as much guaranteed um what you call it, value on the Vendetta, but I don't know how much Vendetta you would see on a map like King's Row. I feel like the corners, especially in Streets phase and the first point, I feel like it's a lot harder to get Vendetta as there's a lot of corners and she jumps in a straight line. So I feel like it's really hard to get the most out of that. So I get the Zarya ban, but Kiri means that I the Malga kind of suffers greatly from it. That a big part of his survivability is when he's low. That Suzu means that it resets the DPS passive. I'm not sure if it's DPS passive anymore, a general one, but that reduced healing, and then it means the Kiri gets a load of burst healing on him, and it means he can live a bit longer than just using shout. Um, I'm not sure what backline you run instead, especially in the state of the game currently. Um, you used to run a Juno Brig. I don't know if we'd see that. Um, I'm expecting Mizuki to maybe. Well, actually, they're running Mercy. Yeah, so I don't know what you run into the Kiri when you've got someone running Mercy. You might see an Ana or a Bap. I don't know if I like those picks, but it'll be interesting to see.
I mean, the thing that you could do, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but you just play into making sure that your DPS live. You play that Jetpack Cap Bastion on one end, the Far Mercy on the other, and you just leave a Roadhog on the objective to be a martyr, I guess, is something that you could do. We've seen Far Mercy come back a little bit as we head over towards King's Row. Hope it's a little cooler there in the future than it has been over the past few days, but we're able to beat the heat now and stay indoors and watch some amazing Overwatch. We've got match point now for the Groglings from Sheffield Hallam as we look at Hazelnotts trying to get back into this one.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for Hazelnotts to bring this back. I do think kind of enabling your DPS will be a big part of success, like your success here. I was wondering also if we'd see the Zen consider its ban. Maybe there was some inside information that we are expecting a Zenyatta masterclass today, but nope, we're seeing a Wu Yang mirror to fill in, I would say, the gap that Kiri was filling from both teams, which is I mean, I think Wu Yang's in a good position right now. I think it's slightly unconventional with the Mercy. You can't really mass heal your team if something goes wrong. But I think it will work well, especially on the defense. I think Wu Yang can get a ton of poke from this point. So yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Noob's able to walk out on that Tracer after being banned away from it on map 1. And Ollie coming into the team and immediately making a mark for the Groglings, finding one in a second as well. A burst damage from the Sojourn, just too much to handle. A third could be on the cards, but doesn't fall there. Cody getting the better of Noob as well. And Ollie coming in on the Sojourn and just decimating them.
Yeah, well, hang on. I've just realised it's them. They've swapped Mercies. It's Groglings now who have decided that they're going to give the Mercy a walk, and it's a great success because Hazelnotts have just kind of given them first point in just general space. They kind of played so far back that Ollie could just slide in, charge a bunch of energy off of Orisa, and then just one-shot whoever they looked at.
Cody being able to live there as well is really difficult for Hazelnotts. They just haven't been able to get into this at all since Night Market. Cody going down low, but able to survive for the moment. And Sammy just mitigating the damage as they make it through the archway. Nice shot from Omens, does take down Cody. And the star player of that first map brought back to life by Blaine. Able to bring it back in, but you can see just how much damage Ollie is doing, being able to build up to that overclock immediately as the first one on the board. Only takes down one, but it is the tank of Henji, and that is a miraculous pick to start off this fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got that OC so early, especially with the Mercy boost. You kind of have to kite that at this stage in the game. You've got nothing that can really answer it, especially with your composition. There is no answer to it, to an ult like that. You have to you have to back up and kind of try and ride the storm, and they've just not been able to because it's so early, it's so unexpected.
Cody there maybe getting a little bit too overconfident with that pulse bomb, trying to hit it from downtown, but downtown is where we're going as the underworld looks to be on the cards for Groglings. Ollie taking down 2 swiftly as well. Both supports falling, then the tank straight afterwards. My word, this Sojourn is just doing way too much for them to be able to deal with. There, they try the pulse bomb, but Cody's got the back. And the rest of the team now falling. Yes, you've got Bob, but how long does he stay up? Does not matter. Ollie takes it down. Cody, these 2 DPS are decimating them, just running through, being able to hit all they need.
Yeah, this has suddenly become the Ollie Was show, which just begs the question, why wasn't he playing map 1? Because this Sojourn performance has been inspiring, really.
They invested the nano to keep Henji alive, but the overclock's already there, and Mono's not looking for it, getting around the corner, being able to get into the backline now. Cody as well, getting in on the action. These 2 DPS is just, it's way too much for Hazelnotts to be able to deal with. They might even be taking capture with more time than they started with. Ollie taking another kill onto Noob. They can't even get out of their own spawn. The pulse bomb comes in. Mono trying to get towards the objective, but it's only a fallacy. It's Ollie's holding the door. Everyone taken down by this Sojourn. 3 quick kills. And Cody sweeping up on the objective. 4 minutes 18 on the clock for the Groglings, as they show almost immortality going through King's Row.
That was just kind of disgusting. That was kind of rude. I've not seen a Sojourn walk through like that in quite a while, as we can see from the stat line. 17-1.
That's great.
Sammy P. Oh, yeah. Is that? Yeah, I'm right in saying that.
That's almost more than double anyone else's damage.
What I think is quite interesting. 0 kill. Oh no, they're on Mercy. Never mind. I was like, only 0 kills. I don't know, that convincing.
22
but yeah,
assists.
22. That explains a lot.
You can see that 21 elims from Ollie. It's so much. The consistent damage, and yes, you've got a Mercy pocket, but being almost double what anyone else on the map is doing is extraordinary. We see Henji switch over to this Malga, back to the favored composition for attack, but it's going to be a brick wall now on the other side as Cody switched over to the Junkrat.
I mean, this was my point in the Kiriko kind of hurting a lot. I wonder how many of those situations that Suzu can kind of avoid a rail to the head or keep you alive that tiny bit longer, and being able to TP out of those situations where that Sojourn's hunting you down. I feel like being forced onto this Anna and this Mercy.
Oh no.
It's done a lot of damage. Oh no.
Oh no. Cody taking the second part of that character's name into effect. The rat outside of the spawn and claims omens. Now trying to get away with his life. I don't think you really care at this point. Ollie's taken down the Mercy, trying to go for the rest, and he gets the kill with the martyrdom. It can't go any better for Cody. Yes, you've fallen, but you still take one with you. Sammy now onto that Sig still. Is going to be able to hold the rest of his team at bay as Ollie continues the work of the attacking side on the defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real breakdown to that. Junkrat hiding in your spawn's never fun. You just don't expect to see it in your USS games, do you?
Take down Ollie and you're able to res Mono. Yes, you get that back, but Henji's able to punish the res at the very least. Could be a way in, but they have to keep the tank alive, and it doesn't quite happen. Now coming back in with the overclock, freshly resurrected is Ollie. Cody finding the kills as well. Oh, it's just disgusting. The headshots coming through, quadruple kill for Ollie. Back from the dead to send Hazelnotts back to their doom.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd break a defense like this when I would say on paper, not only is their comp better, but now you've got a Sojourn who actually doesn't know how to miss rail. It seems like just out of Ollie was his vocabulary. He just doesn't know how to miss.
Yeah, and the confidence there is just going to help more and more and more. You can see Cody still playing around the spawn doors. Tyre coming in now. This support line gonna have to be so careful. Lands it onto Mono's head. What else can you do in that situation? You try and get away, but the Ana's not got the legs to sprint away from them. Still, you can see how aggressive Ollie wants to be. Hitting that rail once again. Now turns the sights onto the tank. A little bit out of position. And I mean, I've run out of superlatives. It's so many times we've seen Ollie hit these shots, but with 1 minute 46 on the clock, looks nowhere near to Hazelnotts getting anywhere out of this spawn.
The one saving grace is we've got Mercy out, we've got a Nano soon, we've got a Cage soon. Maybe something can be done with that, but I don't know how you catch the Sojourn here without it still having as much value as it has been for the rest of the map.
Yeah, and there's that Sojourn value again. Flocks in onto the res, doesn't even get off. The Mercy's died before it even goes up, and Ollie once again taking down the rest of the team. And I mean, oh, it's just disgusting. You really can't do anything against the Sojourn when the Sojourn feels this confident. And I have to say, Sammy as well, just being the glue that's holding this team together, not doing anything too difficult to be able to keep the team in it. Here comes another overclock from Ollie, who's actually found out how to miss, but eventually finds Noob and makes up for the mistake onto Mono as well. Yes, you got the cage fight down, but that Nano wasn't able to be invested. 40 seconds left now. And yes, you've got Nano. Yes, you got Bob. And you're on the objective, but how long does that last? Henzi starting to go down lower and lower. Ollie doesn't even have to move. Stationary Bastion turret is basically there now. Cody finding Noob. You lose the namesake, you lose Grog, but that's all that gets taken down. And Blame Me has not had to invest that res for quite a while, so obviously that's still up. Bob now invested, gets taken down immediately. Still 12 seconds left. Noob finds a kill onto Ollie. And with res not being there, that's gonna help, but Sammy immediately trading it back out onto the Mercy on the other side. Cody just being a thorn in the side. Omen's taken down, and it looks like it's all but written out for this team. The Nano invested could at least spare the blushes a little bit longer. Trying to take this objective. Henji's found two. Both supports now off the table, but you've got to stay alive in this situation. Cardiac Overdrive invested to try and take down Sammy. The raid boss is still back though now. Ollie diving, ducking, left, right, and good night to Henji. And the rest of this donut, not donuts, Hazelnotts team.
Hazelnotts.
That's the first team right there. And I mean, 45-3. You don't often see such a dominant performance in our games, but I mean, there's contention for Ollie being player of that series, despite only being in for one map, just with the amount of devastation that there was on King's Row.
I mean, what an opening map, series even, you know. Some people, when you want your first series, you're kind of hoping for a close match, want to go the distance. But watching a Sojourn go 45-3 whilst full holding on Kingston, bear in mind he only played what, probably 2/3 of the total time of the map you could have played. You know, it's just something else. I definitely want him on my fantasy team when he's putting up stats like that. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you're plus 42 on the map, and you full held them. It's disgusting. I don't know how much more we can say about how dominant a performance that was without overstating it, because I feel like we could be here for quite a while. I do want to shout out the rest of the Groglings. Where you have that chaos of the DPS thriving, you do need a solid core to keep the rest of the team together in case something does go wrong. We saw a couple of times that Cody was picked, and they were able to get back in there with no problem. And I mean, some ridiculous reses as well that came through from the Mercy on Groglings. Here you can see a full clean sweep for the team from Sheffield Hallam, being able to take it out 2-0 on Lijiang Tower and then 3-0 on King's Row. Yes, we're familiar with those maps, but maybe we're not familiar with scorelines quite as dominant as that so far.
Yeah, I think it's really easy when you have a player playing so confidently and hitting so many shots to kind of drop the ball. It's really easy as a tank to kind of get lazy with where you're standing and who you're looking at. Or supports, it's quite easy to stop focusing on, keeping your other DPS alive when you've got one doing so much, and easy to start kind of DPSing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it was such a good job from the whole of Groglins to actually keep themselves together and still function as a team should, whilst letting that they're essentially a carry, whilst letting him do his thing, but not like getting carried away with it.
Yeah, and they did really well at that. It's easy to be sucked in. They didn't do that. Commiserations to Hazelnotts. It's very difficult to start out a tournament going down to a player that, well, on the first map they had Cody. On the second map they had Cody, and they had the Sojourn of Ollie. It was just too much for them to deal with, and it's difficult to keep your head in the game. But of course, that's not the only game that they will play today. We are going to head to a quick break in just a moment, but we will be right back after that with our second round matchup. So stay tuned if you want to see who that's going to be.